Your first sight of a Nenets migration may be a rope tightening in darkness, with reindeer breathing steam beside loaded sledges. Your idea of home stays in one place, but this family's home must cross the tundra to remain useful. If the herd cannot reach lichen, transport, food, trade, and movement begin failing together. That is the stake on Russia's Yamal Peninsula, above the Arctic Circle in western Siberia. Winter can drive the air toward -50 degrees Celsius, while darkness hides the ground for much of the day. Out here, the Nenets family and the herd operate as one moving system. Reindeer pull the sledges, provide materials for clothing and shelter, support the family's economy, and determine where tomorrow's camp can stand. You know that small worry after leaving home when you wonder whether you locked the door. Imagine carrying the door, walls, beds, stove, food, and children across open snow. There is one decision these families make before the pasture looks exhausted. I'll get to it, because that decision may be the quietest reason they survive. But first, hands must work in cold that punishes one careless minute. Before the move, every buckle and rope has to function near -50 degrees Celsius. Leather stiffens, metal takes skin. Breath settles as frost around collars and lashes, while snow must be melted because liquid water cannot be carried casually through that cold. Harnessing one reindeer may look like an ordinary chore. The danger sits in the sequence. A numb hand fumbles a fastening, the load shifts, a runner twists, and valuable daylight disappears while the family repairs damage and exposed wind. I carry a pale scar across my left hand from learning that sequence. During a fuel line repair, I removed my glove for just a second. The line smelled sharply of fuel, and the metal fitting would not catch its thread. By the time it did, 2 fingers had gone wooden. Cold does not require a grand mistake. It takes whatever opening you give it. Nenets' clothing, movement, and work habits are built around denying it that opening. Tasks are done steadily because sweat can become dangerous once the body stops. But protecting the hands only gets the family through morning. So the shelter itself must be designed to disappear. The Nenets' chum is a conical tent built to become cargo within hours. Its poles, coverings, stove, bedding, tools, and household goods are arranged across sledges rather than abandoned at an old camp. A family may be packing several hundred kilograms before the sun offers much useful light. The order matters because the first things needed at the next camp cannot sit beneath everything else. Shelter poles must arrive intact. Stove parts must be reachable. Dry bedding cannot be treated like spare freight. You can replace comfort later. You cannot replace a warm sleeping space after darkness closes in. Long poles are bundled along the sledges, while coverings are folded and secured against wind. Loose rope ends become problems once the teams begin moving. A dragging line can catch beneath a runner or startle an animal, turning neat cargo into wreckage across the snow. The chum works because its shape belongs to the migration. It can withstand wind, hold heat around a stove, and be taken apart when the herd needs new ground. A fixed building would offer thicker walls, but it would separate the family from the animals sustaining them. Therefore, every possession must justify its weight, because the route ahead can run farther than most people travel during an entire holiday. Across a year, many Nenets families travel roughly 800 to 1,000 kilometers along Yamal. Some routes may approach 1,200 kilometers, depending on pasture, weather, and seasonal conditions. That distance is not crossed in one clean line. Camps shift, rivers and frozen ground change. A route that carried sledges safely during one season may become slow, broken, or unusable during another. From a pilot's seat, 1,000 kilometers can feel manageable because an aircraft erases distance. On the ground, every kilometer has weight. The chum is there. Children are there. Fuel, clothing, food, and repair tools ride on runners that feel every ridge. Reindeer make that movement possible because they are already adapted to the country beneath them. They pull without needing a road, while the family watches their breathing, condition, and pace. Driving the teams too hard creates a debt that must be paid later. An exhausted animal cannot pull tomorrow's load, and a weakened herd reaches pasture in poorer condition. Speed may shorten one day while damaging the whole season. So the migration follows a measured pace, even when the horizon appears empty. But distance alone does not choose the direction. The food hidden under the snow does. Reindeer survive winter by reaching lichen and other grazing beneath the snow. Therefore, the family must keep moving as useful pasture changes across the peninsula. What looks like a blank white plain to you contains differences the herd can feel and the herders have learned to read. Snow depth matters. Hard crust matters. Wind can strip one patch and bury another. Ice over grazing ground can turn food beneath the surface into food that the animals cannot reach. The herd may paw through workable snow, but each effort costs energy. If feeding demands more strength than the grazing returns, the animals begin losing the reserve needed for travel and cold. That is why a camp cannot remain simply because the chum is warm and the surrounding country looks peaceful. Comfort can conceal a shrinking margin. The Nenets watch how long the animals search, where they gather, and whether they spread out or press toward another area. The herd provides information before any instrument could. I learned to trust animals around northern airstrips. When dogs stopped wandering and faced the same direction, wind was usually arriving before my windsock admitted it. On Yamal, the reindeer are transport and livelihood, but they are also part of the family's reading of the land. Yet pasture means little if dangerous ground blocks the way toward it. A moving family must read snow, wind, rivers, and ice before committing loaded sledges. One bad crossing can strand far more than a single traveler. The lead team may pass safely while a heavier sledge finds weakness beneath a drift. Wind can erase tracks within 20 minutes, leaving the rear of a caravan with fewer clues than the front had. Whiteout removes depth first. A ridge, hollow, and open stretch begin sharing the same color. At 26, I put an aircraft onto a frozen lake in a whiteout and spent 2 nights inside it at minus 38 degrees Celsius. After shutdown, the engine ticked as it cooled, while frost formed around the door seams. The trapper who found me did not hurry. That sentence belongs on every northern route. Intentions do not support a sledge. Confidence does not thicken ice. Nenets herders slow down when the surface demands it, because hesitation costs minutes, while a bad decision can cost the camp. They use remembered routes, current conditions, animal behavior, and the shape of wind-blown snow. But even a careful route can break equipment. So isolation makes repair skill as important as navigation. Once migration carries a family away from settlements and roads, help may be many hours or several days distant. Yamal is sparsely populated, and weather can close the gap between remote and unreachable very quickly. A repair that might require a telephone call elsewhere must often be completed with what is already on the sledge. A cracked runner changes how the load tracks. A failed harness places more strain on the remaining teams. A damaged stove threatens the next night's heat. Each failure creates another unless it is stopped early. During my flying years, I carried tools according to consequences rather than convenience. A small fitting weighing 200 grams could matter more than a large comfort item because that fitting might keep fuel flowing. Nenets families make the same kind of calculation with rope, blades, spare harness pieces, needles, coverings, and stove parts. Nothing useful is carried without cost, but leaving the wrong item behind can be worse. Children learn by being present while adults inspect, mend, tie, and load. Knowledge must travel in people because written instructions cannot feel a runner pulling crooked beneath them. The family's independence grows from that repeated work, but surviving the distance does not finish the day. The cold carried inside clothing must be dealt with before sleep. By evening, the chum must rise while the body is tired and the temperature is falling. The family selects the ground, unloads the poles, raises the frame, secures the covering, and prepares the stove. At minus 40 degrees Celsius, delaying warmth for 1 hour can allow damp clothing to freeze hard. Inside, the air changes gradually. Snow on boots softens, frost loosens from outer layers. The smell of smoke, hide, food, and wet wool replaces the clean emptiness outside. This is the safer part of the day, so sentences can become longer and hands can finally work without racing numbness. But the camp still has jobs to do. Clothing must dry enough for morning, snow must become water, food must restore the energy spent walking, lifting, and handling animals. The reindeer remain outside, where their position and behavior still require watching. A warm chum cannot become an excuse to forget the herd. If wind strengthens overnight, drifting snow may alter the route or bury equipment left carelessly. If clothing remains wet, tomorrow begins with a heat loss already underway. Night is therefore a reset rather than an ending. The family restores the small margin spent during travel, but the annual route now faces an obstacle colder experience cannot solve with rope or patience. Yamal holds some of the world's largest natural gas reserves, so the same peninsula carrying reindeer migrations also carries industrial expansion. Roads, pipelines, facilities, and vehicle corridors alter land that once offered broad choices. Gazprom Neft and Lukoil have joined development projects in the wider Yamal-Nenets region, including areas south of the peninsula's longest migrations. The conflict does not require a pipeline to block every route. A migration depends on options. One crossing may be safer during a certain freeze. One pasture may be needed after difficult weather. One detour may protect the herd from exhausted grazing. Infrastructure can narrow those choices, while traffic and disturbed ground complicate movement through already demanding country. A road looks thin from the air, perhaps 20 meters across, but its influence can spread through access tracks, construction zones, noise, and the places herders must avoid. Cold has rules the Nenets understand. Industrial land use introduces decisions made far from the herd. That creates a different kind of uncertainty because no inherited reading of wind can move a facility or reopen a lost corridor. Here is the detail I promised you. Nenets families often survive by leaving before the pasture appears completely finished. That early departure protects what comes next, but it only works while open tundra still offers somewhere else to go. Leaving usable pasture can look wasteful when you judge only the ground beside the chum. Across an 800-kilometer season, it is an investment in the herd's strength and the land ahead. Waiting for obvious exhaustion means the decision has already arrived late. Reindeer spend more energy searching. The next move begins with weaker animals, and the family enters difficult terrain with less reserve. Therefore, movement happens while there is still a margin. The herders read grazing pressure, snow, weather, distance, and the condition of individual animals together. No single trick carries them through Yamal. Their endurance comes from combining knowledge with flexibility and from treating the herd as a partner rather than a machine. That way of life has survived polar darkness, minus 50 degrees Celsius cold, broken gear, uncertain ice, and routes reaching 1,200 kilometers. Yet its future depends upon physical space. If industrial development removes too many alternatives, knowing when to move will no longer guarantee there is a safe direction available. This life remembers something much of the settled world has forgotten. Staying alive sometimes means leaving, while staying still feels possible. If you want to discover more lives shaped by the world's harshest environments, subscribe to Nathan Frost. Could you do 1 week of this? Tell me in the comments, because when the road ends, survival belongs to the people who still know when to move.